welcome back to the Damn Yankees podcast, produced by Seven Ashes Productions. I am Megan. That's my brother Ryan, and over there is our baseball dummy Cliff.
Hi.
Hi. How is everybody doing?
Yeah.
Yes, you're sick. I know. So you sound like Eeyore.
You sound like Eeyore.
Oh, but vibes are really happy right now. The Yankees are
Yes.
winning again. And yes, the Yankees went, they've played 7 games since the last time we've talked about the Yankees on our podcast, and they went 6-1 against the Blue Jays and the Reds. So we're pretty happy.
8-2 of our last 10 games. So, even though this week has been really good, the last 10 games have been pretty good as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Things
Bats are
are
alive.
getting back into the positives for sure.
Definitely. Yes, it feels much better.
Back-to-back happy podcasts. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Oh my gosh.
Especially for a Yankee podcast.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially the beginning of May seemed it was getting pretty sad. So we're happy that we're turning it around. It started with the series against the Blue Jays. They went up to Toronto and beat them 3 out of 4 games, despite their incessant crying about the Yankees supposedly cheating. Cheating. Yeah, so it all started in with the first game where the announcer...
Yeah, Judge is he's glancing off to the side, and the announcers...
Yeah, what the hell is he looking at?
Yeah, they were like, oh, which, I mean, I guess it's fair to, like...
I remember hearing the
people.
announcers like, that seems strange to you? That seemed pretty strange to me.
Yeah.
He's never done that before. I don't know what he's...
And, it is fair that while you're at an at-bat, typically you don't look off to the side for a long time. But, so they ask the question, and then everybody runs with it because immediately after they ask, what's he looking at? Judge hits a monster home run.
460-something foot home run. I mean, and just so for anybody who doesn't know or hadn't watched, the Yankees... Well, I mean, not necessarily the Yankees, but baseball in general has been, over the last 6 years, has been dealing with cheating as far as pitchers using their sticky tack, and, of course, the Astros' major cheating scandal where they got really not punished at all for it. They were using trash cans in their locker room to convey if a fastball or breaking ball was coming, where they would
and it wasn't only that, they were using
cans.
They were using electronic equipment, and
buzzers
to
and stuff
like
that to tell them.
But they were using electronics to relay messages from their booth or from whatever they were recording to the trash cans to the hitter. So it was this whole system. But in baseball, people have been looking for signs, looking for tipping.
Yeah, sign stealing happens
with their naked eye.
Right. Yeah. Sign stealing happens, but it's typically like legal sign stealing is you have a runner on second base and they're going to watch the catcher and they're going to try to relay their own signs back to the hitter.
And now that MLB uses PitchCom, a lot of things that end up getting done, seen are pitchers tipping their pitches, which is exposing a certain pitch to the opposing player's dugout, because that's what their whole job is if they're sitting on the bench, is to watch the pitchers for any kind of tick that he might do when he's going to throw his fastball or when he's going to throw his sweeper or whatever. And so their job is to say, here it comes.
An example is I think Tampa was getting themselves into trouble the same year that the Astros were cheating. The Astros were playing the Rays, but in this case, the Rays were just the ones that were terribly tipping their pitches. They had one pitcher who would have his glove up high when he was ready to throw a fastball, and he had his glove low when he was throwing a changeup. I mean, this would be similar if you're more of a football fan than a baseball fan, of a quarterback not not really looking, like not having his hands up when it might be a direct snap to the running back, or the running back like tips that he's going to do a running play instead of a passing play, because instead of like looking for blockers, he is looking at like which,
right.
So it's similar to something to tell that they're doing.
Yeah, right. So, and if you're doing that, then and the opposing team can catch on, that's fair game. That's not cheating. That's gamesmanship, and you need to protect your pitches better. You need to, or if it was on the catcher. So, really, what ended up coming out was that the pitcher said, "Oh yeah, I was definitely tipping my pitches. That's why he knew. That's why he looked over, and he looked over either at the first base."
It's likely the first base coach is what I think he was looking at.
The dugout. Yeah, something where he was given some signal that said the slider's coming. Meanwhile, the guy threw like 6 sliders in a row to
He
Judge.
threw 6 sliders. I think it was 6 sliders in the at bat, but not necessarily in a row. But it was a lot of them.
It was,
and one of the things
it was
that
at least
was
the second one in a row, and it was that slider that he hit was like middle, or like right where he wanted it, and of course he hit it.
It was middle. It's it didn't break as much as some of his past sliders in that at bat were breaking, and I think part of the and I'm not sure exactly what he was tipping the pitcher, but I know that Kirk was tipping the pitcher's pitches by
he was being very obvious of where the pitcher was going to go, where the ball was going. Yeah.
So typically a catcher will wait until the pitcher is like in motion to move to the spot where they want the ball at. But in this case, Kirk was basically sitting. The Toronto's catcher was sitting in the left hander's batter's box, which,
and it could have been a combination of it. Maybe the pitcher did a couple of things slight, and then combined with Kirk sitting, outside, and it was obvious they're throwing you the slider again.
Yeah,
and so whatever they did, they were obvious. It was communicated to Judge. Judge took advantage, hit a home run. That's baseball. Like if you're doing that, and I think most teams will tell you, but the Toronto Blue Jays decided to cry about it.
Yeah, they appealed the game to MLB.
Well, and they know that they can't do anything about this part about, and to be fair, like, the Yankees explanation was that Judge Boone had been ejected because of a bad call right before to Judge, and
there was like Judge some chirping going
dugout on. At the chirping because he wanted to play dad and tell them they shouldn't do that anymore. Move on. I'm trying to have an at bat here. It was like, okay, like
we all know that's not accurate,
but they're also not going to tell you. Yeah, we got a tip. Like we know what this pitcher is doing. If they have to face him again, they want that pitcher to keep doing whatever the hell he's doing. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think he was cut. Like I don't think the cover up there, like the lie in saying that, is because he's lying about covering up a cheating scandal. He's not wanting to tell you, hey, you're an idiot, and you basically told me that you. Yeah, I'm not giving it away that I knew that you were throwing that slider there because you did this or the catcher did that or
Yeah. But the Blue Jays decide, like you said, to report it to MLB, and because the Yankees first base coach or the third base coach, I think it was the first base coach, right, was out of the box, which if you've ever watched a Major League Baseball game in your life, I will be willing to bet you've never seen those coaches stand in the box. Like,
not for the majority of the time. Yeah,
those coaches are standing everywhere but that box.
And they have pictures of the Toronto Blue Jays in that game doing the same thing.
Nobody stands in the box. Like it is a common thing around baseball that the coaches don't stand there. And so the Blue Jays made this huge deal about the Yankees not standing in the box, that they took it over to the next day, and there was more drama in that day too. So it started out with, the Blue Jays getting all bitchy about, I think, who's our third base coach?
Rojas.
They are.
I think it's Rojas.
Not being in the box, and it was Boone's over there
and
yelling
then,
at him,
and doesn't he call him "shut up, fat boy"? Isn't that what Schneider said to?
That's what Schneider said to one of our bench coats, which people are trying to decode this all game long, because it's like, well, who the hell are you calling fat boy? First of all, he's got a couple of LBs on him.
Schneider's got some pounds, and
Well, and so much so that people were like, they couldn't have said fat boy. They must have meant frat boy, and they were talking about Bader. And it was
Bader.
like, oh, I mean, that's
it would
fair.
make sense, but I don't even think Bader was out there. So
no, I was like,
if he was, they really called out Bader for some reason. But
but they ended up talking about one of our bench coaches who isn't even like compared to the Blue Jays manager. I would not say is fat at all. But anyway. So
maybe the manager is a frat boy. Who knows?
Maybe. So yeah, calling people fat, Blue Jays. Imagine that, especially considering several of their players could be described that way too. So I guess that's low hanging fruit. But
I mean, they started it, so I feel like they
did start it. Like all of this is just
you want to bring it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that, like, with Toronto that just gets frustrating. Like, ever since, the end of 2020 or the end of 2021 when they're like, this is just the trailer, we're on to the movie now.
They've been acting as if, like, they had a chip on their shoulder and that the Yankees put it there. And it's like, the Yankees don't even think about you. I mean, I know we're spending a lot of time talking about them right now, but we don't even
And I feel like we're thinking about them now just because... like they're becoming so dramatic. It's like, shut up. Like,
so dramatic. Well, and so all this dramatics boil up to, in the second game, Herman ends up getting ejected right before he goes out for the fourth inning because
he's like no hitter, right?
He was pitching really well. If he had a no hitter, that wouldn't surprise me, but he was pitching very well up to that point. Right. They weren't getting so you're probably right about that. And so that he gets kicked out. Meanwhile, backstory, Herman was just told.
Yeah, I think we just talked about it a couple weeks ago. We had talked about in one of our previous podcasts that he was washing his hands. They told him to wash his hands multiple times.
Yeah, told to wash his hands and, told to get whatever it was off of his hands, and he was allowed to remain in the game. And I guess this is the same, like, umpiring crew.
Yeah, it is the guy. I'm not sure what position the umpire was in, but the same guy that was saying wash your hands, like in the last game. I told you to wash your hands in the last game against the Twins. In this game, he was in that same group, and I think he was probably the ones that's like, this is third time, so third time this season.
So he gets ejected, which if it's up to the umpires to decide. What's too sticky. What sucks is that Herman insists that he was using rosin, and they're saying it was too sticky. That was the stickiest I've ever felt, like the stickiest substance I've ever felt. Like, who knows what that even means?
Right.
Like Herman's not the most trustworthy of characters out there.
Nope, he's got some very big character flaws.
Yeah, so for even his hands to be sticky enough with rosin really pisses me off, considering the week before he was in another sticky situation, and that should be in the forefront of his mind. Like, using
you need to take care of yourself. Yeah, only on the mound. I'm going to go in and wash my hands with not alcohol like Scherzer, but I'm going to use like whatever cleaning products I need to get it completely clean. Yeah, like, you've got to be smarter than that.
Come on.
Because on top of his idiot, top of that being an idiot for himself, they have to rush out Ian Hamilton, who's been lights out for us.
Yeah,
and
he gets tossed. Yeah.
And Ian Hamilton gets hurt because he's rushed out there.
Yeah, Hamilton comes out way before he's expecting to. I'm sure he was expecting to go in sometime that day, but not in the fourth inning. And, he's supposed to get all the time in the world to warm up, but
it's still not the amount of time that you typically.
Yeah, you're not warming up like you normally would, and he ends up like straining, pulling his groin, or so he's on the IL for at least 4 weeks. And so, like, this has a domino effect. The being ejected for a foreign substance on your hands also means an immediate suspension for 10 games. And you can't replace that player on the active roster. So that means the Yankees are
so we have to play with 25 people.
Yeah. So, at a disadvantage. So Herman has, kind of screwed the Yankees over in a number of ways. And the biggest, and maybe not the biggest, but the most dramatic being causing all of this cheating narratives to just get bigger and
absolutely, yeah.
It'd be more in the forefront, much more than any of the Yankees
Now,
really want it to
I
be,
saw a
for
quote
sure.
from one of I think it was Gosman, but I'm not entirely sure. It could have been a fake quote, but I'm not entirely sure. But something about owing us, that the Yankees owe us 3 innings because they cheated in the first 3. And so, I mean, it just kind of...
It might have been a fake quote. They've been such crybabies lately about everything. I just believed it. So maybe it was a fake
I don't remember
quote.
the source, so that's why I'm not 100% sure if it was like faux
right.
sports. It could be, or a porch, but...
something like that. You're right. I didn't check. I saw it and I was like, of course they would say that. They have just been the biggest crybabies this whole time about it. And, being so overly focused about where the whole series, the Blue Jays were focused about where the coaches were standing in the box,
rather than on winning games. And so obviously you focused on the wrong thing.
And I think like the third game they came out, the Yankees did, with too much of a, like, I think they started to get real pissed off about all the cheating narratives that were going on, because like Judge is like comes out with his at bat and he's pissed off right away. And, typically Judge doesn't get pissy with the umps, but especially on the first at bat, I feel like he like gives the ump the chance to like fix himself. And then he starts, if he needs to be told about himself, he does it. And then like Rizzo was super pissed off because he struck out his first at bat. It just seemed like everybody was like overly hot. And then there were like errors being made in the first inning.
The third game was a tough one.
Yeah, the third game had just bad vibes on it, like out the gate. But if the Toronto Blue Jays should have won any, it should have been that game on Tuesday, with Herman being bounced before the fourth. You have Ian Hamilton not being able to get out of the fourth because he gets injured. We had to go to Weber after that. Was that right? Or was it Marinaccio as well? I don't remember.
I think it was Weber.
But like they pieced that together. I was like, there's no way we win this game.
I thought for sure we were losing that one, but I think they won it in the 10th.
Take advantage. Was that the
one? No, they think they won. They lost the game in the 10th
on Wednesday.
The third game we lost in the 10th, but we won the game with Judge. Judge hit another home run in the second game. He broke the maple leaf.
Yes, he did.
And as he came across the line, to home base, he's like,
"Yep, covered it." Yep, that was
not
good.
Looking anywhere.
You could tell he was pissed off. And
I think he had a quote after, at some point, either the first game that night or the next morning. Yeah, choice words, but I won't say them now because, especially with, I think he said, especially with everything going on with in baseball when it comes to cheating, to just throw that word around is pretty heavy, and it ruins reputations. And
especially for Judge, right? Like, we're talking probably the most trustworthy, integrity-driven player that's there. Like, he's all about like just being like the classy one and being above it all and just focusing on playing baseball, and he's being told that he's cheating.
He's a cheater.
He broke the AL home run record last year and he's cheating. Like, stop. Like, that, it was just pathetic. It got really pathetic too.
It got really pathetic.
You cry about Herman all you want, but Judge,
and I don't know. The Yankees got the last laugh with it. They win the last game of the series, so we win it 3-1. And in the locker room of that game, they are playing Bad Blood, and so Taylor Swift. So in honor of my fiance, Laura Grace, the Yankees have entered their Reputation era.
They have. You have awoken the sleeping giants.
Yeah, awoken the sleeping giant. They, actually, the Reputation album is right there.
Oh, look at that. There we go. It's no joke. The Yankees have had Bad Blood playing in the background the last couple of press conferences that I've heard come out of, I
think they've had it in 2 or 3 interviews. It's very clear in the background, the Bad Blood, which does come from the Reputation album, I believe.
I would love to know who's controlling it, like whose phone.
Yeah, is it? I think you had said beforehand. Is it a signal that they have bad blood now, like with the Blue Jays and everybody else, or it's just somebody who really loves Taylor Swift
really
and is planning to go to the concert, is just listening and getting themselves hyped up? But yeah, I mean the
yeah,
Yankees.
I think she's in New York like next weekend, so maybe.
I mean she's in Boston now, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like the Padres series. I think I keep seeing that go around on
could be
on Twitter. I don't know. We'll have to go back to that. Remember the Yankees admin account like did I think it was a TikTok thing with what's your favorite? It was like during spring training, I think. What's your favorite music?
So we have to find the one who said pop music or something.
Yeah, we'll have to see someone if they said Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
It'll be them. So anyway, yeah, so they do get to leave Toronto on in high spirits, and they go off to the Reds, who are, not the best team in the league at all. So figured you'd get a good series out of that, and they swept them. So
yeah, I was hoping for 2 out of 3. Like, I mean, the Reds are not the Athletics by any means.
Yeah. They're not the worst, but yeah, you want to make sure you beat beat most of the games in the series at least. And
yeah, so the sweep was very good. Yeah, and that's why like vibes are high right now with the Yankees, because they're doing what they're supposed to, if not more.
yeah.
I think Boone has now been ejected another 2 times in. Was it 2 times in the Red Series or 1 time in the Red Series?
I think only 1 time in the Red Series, 1 time in the Blue Jays series.
Blue Jays series. So is that 3 total now?
I think that's 4 total. I think
4 total.
I think 4.
So it's either 3 or 4, and we said 10.
Yeah. So I think he's.
So that's our countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Red Series also started out with sticky stuff, I guess, but it wasn't. It didn't. It was Clark Schmidt's day. It was the first game, right? Was it the first one?
Yeah.
And Clark Schmidt, I guess, was checked a couple of times, or checked, more thoroughly coming out, and was told to go back in and wash his hands, because it turned out that he, like, the fuzz from the inside of the glove was like sticking to his hand, and they didn't like that. So they told him to go back in and wash his hands. And so, of course, social media and everybody is, oh, look at that. They're letting the Yankees wash their hands. They're cheaters.
Yeah, there's another pitcher. And,
and the Reds manager comes out and probably is like, what the hell? Why are you letting him wash his hands?
Yeah,
I don't know if they told him it was fuzzy or not, like it was just the fuzzy stuff, but he got mad enough and that
they tossed him.
Was ejected. Yeah. And what I wish MLB would do about all this sticky hand stuff is, one, maybe announce at the game, we allowed this player to go wash their hands because of a substance not sticky, not related to stickiness. Like, there was something else. I don't know. Come on the PA system and tell everybody what the hell is going on. That could be helpful. Or this player was
they do it
because we have never felt their hands be more sticky. At least everybody would know
what's going on. Yeah, they do it in NFL games. I mean, if someone gets a foul or something, they are.
Well, and they've
this player has done this
with the challenge. The challenge has been overturned. Blah blah
right.
blah. Like, they've started doing it, so it's not like they're incapable. So I don't understand, one, why they don't do that.
And the very least, MLB should release, if someone's getting ejected, should be able to say this player was ejected because this was found on their hand.
Or if they're like, I do understand, like, being sent back into the clubhouse to wash your hands looks nefarious. Looks like, hey, there's something sticky, we don't like it, go wash your hands, we're giving you a warning. When it's like, do other people get warnings? I think the answer is yes. Scherzer got a warning.
Everybody that I've seen everybody who I've seen who's gotten ejected, which I think has just been Herman and Scherzer that I'm only aware of that have been ejected for sticky stuff. They've been warned during the game. So I don't see how people are upset when other warnings are given.
The Yankees.
Maybe if there is excessive warnings, like someone's getting 3 or 4 warnings, but the most I've seen is 2, and that was to Herman.
Yeah. And that was like, hey, you washed your everything except for your pinky. You missed I told you to wash your hand. Like, at least that's what came out on both sides with that. So like I just more clarity from MLB on what is the line for stickiness. Again, Herman insists that all he was using was rosin and sweat. And I mean, there is, I know we, don't really care for Trevor Bauer, but he did show everybody that you can work up enough sweat and rosin
to like stick it to your
to
hand. He did that
actually
whole
stick your hand. Yeah. So there is a level to which rosin does become super sticky. So maybe MLB needs to
have some
somehow
type
figure
of
that out.
some type of line that says he crossed
the sticky threshold.
I do. I think,
okay.
I don't know if you said it right now, or I don't know if you said it before, but I don't think they should suspend somebody over rosin.
Right. Like so stickiness is going to be subjective, right? So at some point it does need to be up to the umpire. But like, okay, eject them if it feels too sticky, but maybe you get a sample from their hand after the game and you test it. And then if it is just rosin, they're not suspended. They're just ejected from the game early because their hands were too sticky. I think
which is enough of a punishment
in and of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees were lucky that Toronto has been bad right now hitting.
Yeah.
Because we ended up winning that game.
Game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Rosarena, are you kidding me? He probably would have had 4 home runs in that.
Of that all day. Yeah. So, so I don't want to hear about, the Rays going, oh, they're cheating. Like, you had your opportunity to take advantage of the Yankees' ineptitude on
Blue Jays.
In that game. Or I'm sorry, what did I say? Yeah,
the Blue Jays. You said the Rays. I was just making sure we're talking about the Blue Jays,
My
right?
bad. Yes, The Blue Jays. The Blue Jays had every opportunity to win the games. The Yankees on Tuesday, and they did not.
They did not.
And any of those games, they really had the opportunity, especially the one that went tied for a while. I think that was Thursday's game. There was a chance of them kind of not getting
winning. The Yankees definitely didn't they did not do what they did to the Athletics, where they just pounded the crap out of the Athletics.
No,
they didn't do that to the Blue Jays. They, it was a hard fought one series for the Yankees, especially with that Tuesday, the second game. But the Yankees, by any means, just as we talked about the Blue Jays series where we could have swept the Blue Jays or the Rays, we could have swept the Rays. In the same sense, the Blue Jays could have swept us. They're
maybe everything but that.
Maybe everything but the first game.
7-0. But yeah. I mean, they without their distractions, they should have been a much better, team.
Should have been a much better
team. That's what they do. Apparently, they get their distractions.
They get distracted. They're
more.
I mean, not to
the movie than playing the game, and
not to get too far off track, but now they've gone off and played the Baltimore Orioles.
The Orioles, yeah.
And they're chirping with the Orioles, and they're Manoah, and it's I think Manoah strikes out an Orioles player, and instead of hey, I'm going to focus on the next batter now because I did my job, he goes off the mound and starts chirping and trying to get the Orioles player to fight him. And instead of focusing on the game and focusing on what their plan is, and then his manager comes out for the second time in an inning because he's not paying attention.
Forgets that the pitching coach has already made a mound visit to Manoah, and he goes out and thinks that's I just talked to him, all fine and dandy, and then the umpire comes up to him and is like, you need to replace your pitcher.
Your pitcher now. Yeah, so hitters pitchers are only allowed 2 mound visits per inning by their coach.
So the second mound visit means you're coming.
And that doesn't matter who the coach is, whether it's the manager or the pitching coach. The only way you can get multiple mound visits is if it's from the catcher
only. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, you only get 6 in the entire game.
So you can't do it all day in an inning, right? Even with the players,
because they used to do
they're
that.
They're just not paying attention to anything. That's clearly not focusing. So
they're not focused on winning games. They're very
I don't want to hear the Yankees are cheating. You maybe take care of your own business, and then we'll see.
Yeah, be accountable. Say, look, we're not focused on what we need to be focused, and we need to take some time whenever they have their next break and be okay, what's
up.
Yeah. The Blue Jays just tend to be a team right now that they do have a lot of talent. They're filled with guys of former players' sons that are just littered all over their team. And instead of focusing on, like you said, about winning games, they're focused on having these great, like gotcha
kissing matches with the
and whether it's the off
teams,
season or in season. I mean, I think off season, you have Vladdy, who wants to say like, "Oh, I'll never be a Yankee because there's so much bad blood there," or something like that. And maybe that's where
Manoah saying that Garrett Cole is the biggest
cheater of all time, and it's
baseball.
like, did we not just have the Astros? Like, what?
Yeah, well, and even Manoah, the way he like laughs about it because he's like, "Oh, I just do it to get the Yankee fans all crazy," and it's like, okay, I'm glad you're having your fun, but like the Yankees just beat you. So I mean, that to me, that's all.
It just it doesn't work. Like, you get it, they're not.
Matters.
Yeah. So. And I think like when the Yankees are losing, they are not trying to blame. Like, I mean, the Yankees do have some tendencies. At least the management, Boone, blames other things other than themselves, but the players tend to
be very
responsible of like, I've done wrong here. I need to be better with that.
I think they follow Judge's lead with that, and Judge is always above it all. He's not going to come down to your stupidness, and he's there to play baseball, and everybody else follows suit. I mean, I think there would have been a brawl in Toronto.
I was going to say if it wasn't for Judge.
Yeah. So Judge, they know Judge doesn't want them to fight, so they're not going to fight. Rizzo's
and it would have only happened if. It would only ever happen if Judge got thrown at.
Yeah,
if Judge got thrown at, I think a brawl would have.
The announcers by the second game were saying that should happen. That Judge should get hit. So did Lance Lynn. I don't know if you caught that. Lance Lynn was on another podcast
and said that they should get hit.
Yeah.
He needs to shut up.
Yeah, the only way to stop that from happening, meaning Judge stealing these tipping signs. Which are perfectly fine and happens all the time. Lance Lynn draws the line there. He thinks that only your teammate that happens to be at second base should be allowed to relay those signs. And it's like, well, no, I don't see why. Like, I don't understand why that's.
I mean, coaches do it too. Like, coaches relay signs too. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Kind of got a little off.
If they had hit Judge, that would have been.
It would have been a different story there.
I don't see how they couldn't have not gotten to a fight.
Yeah.
With that had happened. But
well, anyway, so like we had said, Herman is out for the next 10 days. So that obviously led to a lot of different transactions that came up during the Red Series.
A lot of things going on. Yeah, and MLB rules, like we were saying before, means Herman can't be moved. So they're just short on. They're short in arms, so they dropped down. I think even before all this, they dropped down like Weiss or someone because they had to bring up Ramirez.
Right.
And he pitched late in either the Blue Jay series or something. So he came up. He's one of the extra arms. But more, I guess that bigger transactions that happened was Brito was sent down to make room for Sevy. So he pitched today's game against the Reds. So
Sevy's back, which is big,
huge. Yeah. So finally, he's been he's been rehabbing since spring training, and whether going as fast as Severino wants it to go, or not, but he's back. So he had to do the
limited pitches today, but he looked good.
He looked good. Yeah. Sevy definitely looked good. Glad to see him back. It was, sorely needed right at the perfect time. I mean, I wish it wasn't at the expense of, suspensions and all of that, but glad he's back. So that was one of those. That was a very good transaction.
Another transaction that Yankee fans have been looking for is Hicks. Oh, we want to wait?
We wanted to talk like that. Save the best for last, so we could talk about more. Is all.
Sorry. Let's go over the others first.
Right.
So Roy Vet.
Peraza was sent down to AAA because he was activated off the IL. So to get him at bats, people are mad about him being sent down to AAA. I get it, but there's no room for him on the infield. It's better for him to get at bats in AAA. He just needs to be traded. That's kind of where we're at with Peraza, in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to pick either Peraza or Torres, and I picked Torres. So
he's just proven that he can hit more consistently, and to be more consistent, if Torres is more consistent, it tells you a lot about Peraza and his consistency at the bat.
Yeah.
Because Torres is not consistent.
He's not. He does have a lot of roller coaster. And Peraza might grow into being amazing. There's just no room, and it's better for us to trade him and get something great.
We need, especially like either a bullpen arm that's going to be good. Like a bullpen arm that would be helpful. Another starting arm. But we definitely need or a left fielder. Yeah. I agree.
So anyway, so he's down in AAA. Hopefully that's to get him more at bats, let him be seen a bit more, look at how much he shines, and he's a trade piece for something good later. Another transaction that is a little bit funny is Rortvedt is finally with the Yankees. He is replacing Trevino on the roster because Trevino was put down for a 10-day IL. I a little bit think this is a phantom IL stint to see how Rortvedt is doing in MLB and giving Trevino a little bit rest, and kind of seeing Higgy versus Rortvedt. That's your theory. Speculation. That's just, I don't know, because this Trevino thing just came out of nowhere.
Right, because I think he played the day before that he went on the IL, and he didn't get removed from the game.
He did get pinch hit for, but even like the broadcast was like, it didn't look like it was a health
an injury.
It didn't look like it was.
It was like a needed.
It just looked like, it was like, Trevino, you're slow. Here, we're gonna put in a pinch runner for you. So I don't know. He could have something, and it just came up after the game, and it's completely fine. But the Yankees aren't new.
Yankees are known for their ghost, phantom ILs, which we'll get back to that in a minute as well.
I mean, and speaking, yes, we will. And speaking of phantom, I mean, Rortvedt, the whole joke with him is that he's just, the ghost. Anytime he gets close, he either gets injured or something happens, and he gets pushed back, and he never made it onto the Yankees. I think he was in the deal with. Did he come from Minnesota with IKF and Donaldson?
I think he was assigned. He was at Minnesota, but I think he signed with the Yankees, or he was put on waivers by the Twins. Trevino came in our deal with JD.
Okay. Well,
Trevino came in that one. I think he got picked up off of waivers. But yes, same time frame.
And so it's been that long since Rortvedt has been with us because of injuries and whatever else happened, and so now he's
I think he spent the entire year last year on the DL, and then he shows up at spring training, and I think before we even got the first game, right? He was already injured again, and it was like this guy isn't even real, and he was like, I swear I'm real.
You can't convince me. Yes, and he has a good sense of humor about it, because he did go all in with the I swear.
Yeah, now he does.
I hear the rumors. I swear.
Now you can't see me, or you can't see me.
His first at bat when he plays on Saturday, he hits a double. His first at bat,
hard double too.
Hard double. Barely hangs on with his fingertips, sliding into second base, and then he gets up though and does the John Cena. You can't see me. So
which I think is great. And he's built like John Cena too, so it fits.
Huge. Yeah.
I think
it'll be fun to have him on the team.
I think whether it's a real injury or a fake injury for Trevino when he's done with his IL stint, I do believe that Higgy is either traded, DFA'd, something happens with Higgy. I like Higgy. I think he's always been a good roster piece of someone who's been the backup catcher.
New role.
Yeah.
And Higgy was great, but if Rortvedt can hit like he did like this,
and we need the lefty.
The Yankees think he can.
We need the lefty, and I think one of the things too that would be a really big help is MLB has really gotten into platooning with their lineups as well. Obviously guys like Judge, guys like DJ LeMahieu, Rizzo, they can hit left and rights pretty close, maybe a little bit favored on the opposite arm. But there are a lot of players who can really only hit one side or the other. Like they can only hit against a lefty pitcher or a righty pitcher. Typically, if you're a righty, you can only hit the lefty. If you're a lefty, you can only hit the righty. And with Higgy and Trevino, both of them are really only able to hit lefties. With Rortvet, he can hit righties. So having a catcher who can, like two catchers who can hit, one who can hit righties, one can hit lefties, I think would be good instead of just two catchers who can hit righty or lefties but can't do anything.
Yeah, and also two catchers known for their defense and not their offense at all, so at least Rortvet mixes that up a little bit. And
he's a decent hitter. I know, like he's not going to be like a Yadier Molina in his prime type hitter.
No,
but and he does bring a little bit of different things defensively. He definitely has more pop than Trevino. He's got a strong arm, like we talked about. Dude's jacked. I think his ability to throw out players is a bit better than Trevino's, but Trevino is obviously a better framer. That's what won him his Gold Glove last year. So, I mean, I just think at the end of it, Higgy just has just a couple less positives when it comes to the pro and con. So he either gets traded, maybe in a package deal move with a team that needs a catcher, needs someone solid behind the base, or he gets DFA'd.
Yeah, or he's DFA'd and he accepts a minor league assignment, and because he's been with the Yankees for a long time.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Florial accepted the minor league assignment eventually.
Yeah, whatever's best for Higgy is great, but I agree. Like I think that Rortvet is probably going to take his roster spot here eventually.
As long as he stays healthy, which has been the big thing for Rortvet.
Big thing. Yeah,
and that's why you kind of hope that Higgy stays and takes the minor league assignment just because he could get injured. But
agreed.
So speaking of DFAs, are we ready?
Yeah, the bigger thing that happened. So the Greg Allen becomes available. The Red Sox DFA him or something.
Traded him. We traded him for we traded him for a minor league arm, and it was like interesting.
No name, don't know. Yeah, so we trade him for a minor league arm. He's in the minor league system for a hot second, and I think we send cash or something to Boston. I don't know. But
it was a minor league arm and cash that we sent.
Yeah. So, but they shipped Greg Allen to Cincinnati right away. They are,
they had not yet announced either that he was going to be it seemed to me like initially that he was just going to be, Greg Allen was just going to be a minor leaguer back with us. He used to play with us in 2021. And so I was like, okay, we're getting some depth.
Put him in the minors. Yeah.
He's got some speed.
Bowers and that's what I was thinking. And so, that was that just a few hours later, or was it just the next morning?
It was the next morning. Yes. And it was some random person that was like, not a random person, but a beat writer for the Yankees who's like Hicks has been informed today that he's DFA'd. And we're looking at the Yankees stuff. We're looking here, we're looking there, and nothing's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally the Yankees confirmed.
Yeah. He was DFA'd.
You guess what? Sorry.
And I guess he was on the lineup card.
He was on the lineup card. That's why I was like a little bit like, was he really DFA'd? Did that really happen?
He was taking BP. Mario Gomez was at the games in Cincinnati, and he caught his home run BP call. Or maybe that was like the game before. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't doing BP. It must have been the game before. I'm thinking about the previous one. But it doesn't matter. He was in the clubhouse, and he had to be told in Cincinnati that he was DFA'd. You do feel for him. He was just starting to hit again.
I was surprised, too, because, typically with the Yankees, they want to be right so bad. Like, they want to be known as the front office wants to be the smartest people in any room they're in. They want to be known as geniuses. So that's why we just always, even as much as we've been saying, we want Donaldson and Hicks DFA'd. We just never assumed it would happen because they want to be right about IKF. They don't want to eat IKF, but him too.
Yes, also
but
that.
they want to be right about Hicks in JD because they owe them $50 million.
That's a good reason to want to be right, but
yeah,
not at the detriment of your club.
Right. So, I think with that, the Yankees just the writing was on the wall that at some point even though he had those good games, I think the way I see it, maybe the reason why the Yankees decided not to, because they finally were smart in this situation, is that as much as Hicks was starting to come back around, his comeback around was about maybe on par with the average of what the others were doing at that time as well.
Yeah.
So, because when you're hitting when you're at the very, very bottom, going up to just below average is a big jump, but he's still below average on his statistics, even while he was coming back. So I definitely get it. Just surprised that the Yankees didn't be like, look, he's coming around. He's going to be 30 for 30 Hicks again.
To be honest, that's what I thought. It was like, oh, look,
that's what I expected.
Him, or look, we're going to play him more. He's doing so well, and I think part of that, and Booney said it a bit, was like, Hicks really just couldn't accept his role as being not an everyday starter, being one of those platoon type players. And Greg Allen knows that that's his role. His role is, I'm coming in to pinch run and I'll play defense after that. And, and really he got a triple today, didn't he? So, or yesterday, whatever day he played. I don't remember. He got a triple. So he was already like, everyone's like, look, he's already producing more than Hicks has for us this year. And that's the honest truth. I mean, Hicks has just been pretty awful.
Yeah, I think if Hicks came into the season like IKF, and that's why IKF is still on this team. If he had come into the season and was like, I'll play whatever you want, whenever you want, just let me be on the Yankees, let me help. Yeah, I think he would still be on the team.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's hard as someone who's used to being, a starter, at one point was a very good center fielder.
At one point
he was
prime. I think it was a 14-12 game against the Twins when it was just that was back when the Twins and the Yankees were like battling to be the single season home run leading team every year. And I think, was it Brian Buxton who hit just
I don't know who hit
it was a bullet line drive to center field, and
he lays out and
catches it, and that was the last out of the game. So
and
this is one of my favorite memories of him.
Yeah, he played even a little bit more recently than that through some injuries against doctor's advice. He was he came back early with after he got Tommy John from that injury, or earlier than expected, I guess. And then after that he just did horribly, and
after the injury
everything got
he just
into his
was
head, and he couldn't switch gears to, okay, maybe I just don't have it like I used to anymore, but I can produce is where I can, and he just could never get there. So hopefully, I don't know what he's going to do next, but hopefully whatever it is good for him. I'm glad the Yankees DFA'd him finally. Glad Greg Allen is on the team. People were joking like he saved the team, but I kind of like, maybe he kind of did, just because it allowed the Yankees to finally part ways with Hicks. So that was
so one of the three hated are gone. And one of the others we might not see the rest of the season. So just a little backstory. Jacob Ellsbury, one of the guys who in an earlier podcast we called the worst Yankee free agent signing of all time. And basically because, he was a former Red Sox guy who played really well. He had a lot of speed, had both speed and power, which is obviously something that you want to have on your team. Pretty good defender. So when we got him, we were all excited. We basically got him because we couldn't get Cano, because Cano got offered a little bit too much by Seattle for us to keep him around. And Ellsbury, I think, maybe has one season where he plays more than 70% of the games. And then after that, he was just injury after injury. Yeah, I think he had just about an injury to every part of his body. And it got to some point where the Yankees were they kept him on the 60-day DL because they just kept moving him for weird reasons too. And then it started to get to a point where Ellsbury was getting pissed off about it and was fighting against the Yankees and trying to, I think he had a I think he had a lawsuit against them, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did, and it recently cleared up. And they were like, no, I think the Yankees won it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was pushed around on the IL either because of attitude, or they knew he just wasn't going to produce like he should anymore. Whatever the reason was, Ellsbury.
Or he really had injuries. Who knows? Yeah. Why this is important is because I think you found it. You read the tweet that.
Oh yeah. So I was just scrolling along down Twitter, and somebody retweets this comment that says from David Rifkin. They recently went to a welcome home dinner where Donaldson bid on a painting of Aaron Judge, $60,000, and that money goes to charity. And there's a lot of other stuff that goes on, but that was one of the big things that I saw from it. Anyway, it's just this big Yankee dinner. So, and there's press there, the Yankees are there, and they're pretty chatty, I guess, when they're at this dinner.
Yeah, maybe Donaldson had some drinks in him. I don't know.
Maybe he had a couple of drinks in him or something.
We've seen Donaldson at parties, so
yeah.
Wasn't there a party last year where he was pretty hammered? Someone's wedding, wasn't it?
I think you're right. I think I remember seeing some of those. I don't remember if it's Instagram or what. Just some videos or something. Anyway. Donaldson said to me at the welcome home dinner that the Yankees, have him on the quote Ellsbury rehab timeline. He's pretty sure they're paying him to stay away. Now, if you missed it recently, Donaldson was they said stopped progress in his IL rehab stint or whatever because he was putting together a toy for his child and cut his thumb. And my first reaction was, stop, that can't be real. And I even thought, what are they doing? Are they just making shit up now just to be like, no, you stay. We're doing fine without you. And I do think that that's the truth.
It's probably the case. Yeah, because I think the initial thing was right around the time that Bader was about to make his rehab starts, Donaldson was also looking near returning.
Yeah, they were working out in the field together.
And they had sent him to AAA. Yeah, and I think they were sending him to AAA to do a rehab start. And when he got there, now this one might have been real. I'm sure that the toy one is probably fake. But he gets to AAA, and I guess his hamstring was still not.
He played one game because he went 0 for 3 in that game.
Okay, well, then in the next day.
That was just the one game that he played, and so maybe something happened, or maybe the Yankees saw something where they were like, "Wow, you suck." I don't know.
And basically, they sent out a tweet that said the Yankees, or we have recalled, or not recalled. We had.
No, I think you're right.
Was it recalled? Was the recalled?
Yeah, because basically they're like, "Oh, he's coming back to Tampa," and everybody thought that meant they've recalled him.
I think it was returned.
Returned him.
We have returned him from his
From
because
his everybody thought that meant he was returning to the active roster.
And we said, I think they would say it. They recalled him if I was like, I think if they said recalled, that would be MLB, but return means he's going back to Tampa for testing.
And that is what happened. And then they were saying he's progressing along with Stanton. And then they were like, Stanton's about to play some rehab games, which is a lot earlier, I think, than they thought. And then people were
and they said, we don't know about Donaldson.
And they're like, he's just not as close as Stanton, but he's progressing, I think they said. There was some non-answer, of course. And then the next thing we hear is this thing about his thumb being sliced open. And then right after that, the Ellsbury rehab timeline comment. So
yeah.
Donaldson certainly thinks they're paying him to stay away from the field.
I wouldn't be upset about it. These are the smart decisions that they need to be making. Unlike,
this gives me faith in the front office for the first time in a long time. Yeah. And DJ is doing perfectly fine. Knock on wood. That he stays healthy and all of that. But he is doing
because I think I had said to you on the messages. I think I have it here. I said, I bet you if DJ LeMahieu were to get injured, and I said, hope that the baseball gods, something like,
hope like, to them that's not the case.
Hope to them that that's not the case. That I'm not challenging you guys. Just this isn't a challenge. This is a hypothetical where I believe that if that was the case, that if it were to happen, that I think that Josh Donaldson would be saying Josh Donaldson is going to be making his rehab start at AAA or AA or whatever, and he'll be back in a week. Like, he'll be magically, miraculously healthy and ready to go if JD or if DJ got injured.
You're probably right.
And that's why I don't think they'll DFA him.
Yeah. Probably not. And they'll keep him down there as a
as a placeholder.
I don't know.
Yeah. Especially because he only has this year. Like, it's like Hicks is a different story because they had $10 million for the next 3 seasons. Like, not $10 million combined. They had $10 million per year for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas JD, I think, is a little over $20 million for just this year. So once they're out of this year, he's done. So I think they just keep him on this IL circle until they can get rid of him or until they need him.
Yeah, and maybe they can get rid of him. Hopefully some other team will take him for, the last bit of his contract, and we can get something else for him. Maybe that's part of their plan. Hopefully that's part of their plan.
Maybe. They're not doing a very good job of boosting him up anymore.
No, especially like, hey, cut his thumb. I don't know.
I don't know, he sucks. He's not here. All right, we got the guys we want here. He's not here, and he's gonna he's gonna stay there for a bit. Stop asking me about Josh Donaldson.
Maybe next week we can do a little bit of a prospect roundup, because with all of this movement, there's probably going to be some changes in the farm system with moving up and down. I know Austin Wells is probably going to be.
Austin Wells has been doing really good. So he might be coming up. I keep seeing that he's possibly going to get some reps in left field at some point.
Interesting. We'll have to check and see what happens over the next week and see if we can give an update on the next pod about, I don't know, some of the.
And who knows, maybe Jason Dominguez gets moved up as well. It's very possible. Just because he's finally, I think this past week he's been hitting really well. Like, I think he had 4 home runs this week alone and several stolen bases. OPS has risen.
Yeah, so he's definitely in the groove. I'll be curious to see how everybody's doing next week. And I guess that's all we have for the Yankees stuff for now. Do we have any around the league stuff other than...
the Yankees, like we had said, the Yankees are they're on a hot streak right now in their last 10 games, but there's a few other teams that were in the postseason
I'm not sure we
last year.
The Yankees are in third place in
the AL East.
Right,
yes,
in the hot
against behind the 2 best teams in the league. We're only behind. Them.
Those 2, and the Yankees are only 5.5 out of first place, Tampa Bay Rays. So everyone that was, crying that the season was over because we were 8 games behind, a couple. weeks ago.
To be fair, I might have been crying that the season was over a few weeks ago.
Well, it's a long season, and it's just, I think the Yankees had like a 15
things change a lot
at one point last year, and it got whittled down to 5 games. So
things change a lot, and we Yankee fans are known for being pretty quick to
Yankee fans
change our tone.
The ride. Yeah, I think they go with the, if the vibes are really bad, the Yankees feel that. And if the vibes are really good, the Yankees feel that too. So it's just part of being a Yankee fan. But the Yankees are 5.5 games out, and they are headed into an Orioles series, and they're pretty hot right now. So this could be pretty
It'd be
interesting.
very interesting. Very interesting game. But we
Yeah.
got a day off, so that's going to be a big help too.
Day off tomorrow. Yes, they rested Judge today, so he gets those two days off in a row into the Orioles series, where they're 3.5 back from Tampa. So,
and the Yankees have been very good against the Orioles, like in general. They won the earlier season this
shaky.
year.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, and then you were saying other teams were heating up.
Yeah, other teams are heating up as well. That we've been talking about how bad St. Louis Cardinals have been this year. They are now 8-2 as well in the previous 10 games. I believe the Mets have won 4 in a row. They play tonight. The last I checked, they were still in the middle of that game, so I don't
beat Tampa. Yeah.
Yes.
They helped beat Tampa like once at least. I don't remember, maybe twice.
Yeah, I think Brett Beatty hit a good home run against Tampa, but so they've won 4.
What I keep seeing going around Twitter is Pete Alonso hit his grand slam and his celebrations into the dugout. He it's awkward,
weird
as usual for Pete Alonso.
Yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo. But yeah, the Mets are playing,
and he can celebrate.
The Mets have been playing well in their series, and then I think the Astros have won 9 of their last 10, 7 straight wins for the Astros. So I think there's several teams that started out the gates poorly or had bad stretches, who were playoff teams last year, are starting to find their rhythms again. The only team that really hasn't, San Diego Padres, my NL pennant winners. My pick there is not looking to be good.
I do think they actually won today, but otherwise they had been they're 2.
It was like 2 for the last 10.
Last 10. Yeah, so bad, not good at all. I mean, and Machado was just put on the IL.
It's a rough situation over there. They have a lot of pitching issues. Like if we feel like we have pitching issues, they have some serious pitching issues. I mean, they signed Yu Darvish, who is like 38 years old, and I get that like Verlander has been pitching really well in his age, but Yu Darvish has never been Verlander. Verlander's really not been Verlander much this year. I mean, he's been injured.
That's true.
But Yu Darvish is definitely not the type of guy that can pitch into his 40s, but they gave him a contract as if he can. So when that's your ace,
weird.
It's a bad situation there. Blake Snell, I don't even know what's really going on with him, but I haven't heard good things. So their pitching staff has not been great, and their offense has just not been. I mean, Soto's numbers have been down other than his walks. Machado's numbers were down until he got injured. Tatis hasn't been the big boost that they expected.
They are headed into playing Washington, it looks like. So maybe
some easy wins to get them back, just like the Yankees used with Oakland. So
could be.
Sometimes those games help. Like just having getting to play a crappy team can help you turn some tides.
Like, I do remember I can hit the
ball.
For
the St. Louis Cardinals,
that's what that home run swing feels like. Yeah, that's true.
For the St. Louis Cardinals, that was the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, it was.
They were the crappy team that they got to play.
Yeah, they're still in last place. Did you know that?
Sorry, had to dig the wicked good Red Sox. Yeah, no, the crybaby Toronto Blue Jays are in last place.
Whatever.
Those guys are in last place.
Maybe you'll get it this time.
The crybaby Blue Jays.
Hey!
I did it. Anyway, they're in last place. The Yankees are in third place.
Well, anyway.
All right. That's all I have. I don't know. Do you have anything else? I'm sorry.
Did you have a player for me
I did. Thank you.
So if you guys were on the last podcast, not the Power Rankings Awards one, but the one previous, when we were talking about the Yankees, I had sent Megan Eduardo Nunez's stats without the name, and I don't think you were able to get it.
I did not get it.
She was not able to get it.
I'm not sure if I sat here forever, I would be able to get it, honestly. I kind of even, like you say, I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember him being on the Yankees, but to pull that out of my hat, no, wouldn't have happened.
So this is just a series like that at the end of Yankee podcast that we might just do if we have some time. We might have gone over today. We don't actually even know what time we're at. We have definitely gone
over today. I think we had a little hiccup and we forgot to keep track of time. So this is probably a really long podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, it's been 40 minutes just since Cliff let us know that we don't have any track of time, and that was in the middle of
whatever we were talking about. So yeah.
Yes, we had technical difficulty. We had to start over, and from that point, we don't know what happened.
We just talked and talked.
Yep.
Anyway, so I just sent Ryan a player
so we got a
from
pitcher.
The Yankees. So yes, it's a pitcher.
Who's that Yankee?
So he came to the Yankees as a 21-year-old in 2007. He's only an All-Star once, a Cy Young candidate with Minnesota. So he gets traded to Minnesota, and of course, just like Sonny Gray, he has a good year with Minnesota. And kind of falls off from there, bounces around with to the San Diego Padres before he retired. Oh boy, I might be in this on the same one with you. He was only All-Star one time in 2010. 24-year-old who went to Minnesota. Is this? He's a starter. Is this? I feel like I should know this, but I feel like I'm also getting it wrong right now. Ivan Nova?
Oh,
Ivan Nova?
It's not.
It's not. I don't think he went to Minnesota right away.
I don't think he. No, I think he went somewhere else before that.
Okay,
but yeah,
I think I'm wrong.
I could be wrong. All right, do you give up? I don't know if I can give you any clues.
He's
on Twitter.
He's a starter, right?
Yeah, he's on Twitter. Like he chimes in on Twitter sometimes.
Chimes in on Twitter. The only person I can think that chimes in on Twitter is Cameron Maben. He only played with us. He had 1 year, and he was an outfielder.
He's not a pitcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you?
He chimes. Hold on. He chimes in on Twitter a lot.
A moderate amount. I wouldn't say a lot. Like, see him every once in a while.
Okay.
Really likes opening up baseball cards on his YouTube channel.
That wouldn't help me at all. No. All right, I give up. Yeah, we're both 0-1 to start this thing off.
This is Phil Hughes.
Phil Hughes. Oh, I should have gotten that with the Minnesota. I was trying to think of the guy who got traded to Minnesota, and then I thought of it. Now I'm just rethinking it. Ivan Nova, I think, went to Pittsburgh.
I couldn't remember where he went.
I know he went somewhere in the Central, but yeah, it was not. Yeah, so, all right, well, wow, I forgot how good he had gotten in 2004, and then he just kept falling off. Like, I think he was another guy who continued to get injured, and we were just hoping that he would come back, and he never really came back.
Especially a homegrown guy, and I think everyone really kind of loved Phil Hughes, and then he just kind of fell off, and one of those that you miss because he was really good at one point. Yeah.
I mean, I know that 2004. The 2004 stats aren't all that good, but I think it was kind of like a Clay Holmes type of situation where he was really good at the beginning of the season and then kind of fell off during that year.
2014.
Sorry, I'm saying 2004 because I'm looking at 24, his age. 2010.
Okay.
His year he went as an all-star.
Gotcha. Yeah. That was a good, definitely a good year.
All right. Well, hopefully the next time we each get,
we'll get one of these one time. It is kind of fun though to go down like memory lane and remember.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get them. So. Glad I stumped you. I really thought you were just gonna be like, Psh, that's easy. That's this person.
I was thinking a homegrown pitcher that came up and that was decent, and then we moved away. And for some reason, Ivan Nova was in my
That's a
head.
good guess. I mean, he was right around the same time though. I think he was actually an option. I just went back and picked a year, and I think it was 2010, the year I was looking through.
I know it was during that time. It was wild.
Actually.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to find somebody from that roster, and so not a bad. At least you got in the same era.
You're on the ballpark, just not the right pitcher, but it's all right. Yeah. Next time, I'm going to get this.
Next time it'll be my turn, and I'm probably stumped, but that's okay. All right.
I'll try not to get one to stump you.
All right, we'll see. I feel like I'm just not great at just looking at the stats and putting them to a face. But once and
it's also a time thing. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm probably looking like an idiot just staring at my phone
and everybody
right now.
is like, you're an idiot. This is obviously who it is. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, so like you said, we've got the Baltimore coming up. Who's after that? Because I think we won't have a podcast until after the second one. So, good. Well, hopefully they haven't gotten too much on fire with the Washington game that they use that momentum against us.
Hope exactly. Yeah. I take it back. Washington's gonna
smack them around still, I guess. So the next time we'll be talking about those two games. We don't know yet when we are going to do that podcast, but we'll
figure it out.
We'll figure that out
from us after one of those series.
And I think we'll probably do another power rankings one sometime this week in between, and then so. Thanks for listening. For all the people who've listened to us, who've been listening to us, we really appreciate you guys who've been with us from the beginning. If you're just starting to watch us now, thank you as well for listening to us rant for probably an hour and a half now about the Yankees and
no, it's not that long.
Oh, okay. Good. At least it's not an hour and a half. Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Aaron. Aaron always listens on.
Yes, Aaron's. Yes. Yeah, so yes, thank you. Thank you to the Bellflowers. They were talking to me. We had a cornhole tournament for our track and field team today, and they were talking to me today about the podcast. They actually we were at a outdoor place, but they did have a TV, and so they're like, you need to get Peacock up on the screen and get the Yankee game up so we can watch it. So anyway, they're definitely big supporters, and I know we have several others, friends and family who've been watching. But if you're not one of those and you're watching today, thank you. Thanks for joining us on our conversation about the Yankees, and hopefully the good vibes continue. So follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Ryan says thanks.
Yes. Really trying to get us to that hour and a half. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @DamnYanks_pod. Facebook at DamnYanksPod. If you're watching on YouTube, follow or subscribe and hit the notification button. Like this. Yes, like it. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, same thing, subscribe to our channel so you can get our updates as they come in. Yeah. See ya.
See ya.